What's on your mind today?
I think we're going to talk about a very touchy subject, which I think we're going to talk about America's failed experiment. America's failed experiment. 3, 2, 1. Greetings, family. Welcome to the Antoni to Bo show. This is your brother Antoni Bo here once again, ready to hang and bang with the fam and all of the human beings across the earth. Those of you who are breathing and able to hear my voice, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us. We want to give a real good shout out to the Shades of Unity PDX family, all of those who work hard behind the scenes, all of those who have done labor behind the scenes throughout the years. This show is dedicated to you, dedicated to your plight, to your striving, to all the things that you have encountered, to use it as a study guide to the ways of life. Hey, go share this with a friend. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, talk back to me. Hopefully here real soon, we're potentially going to start going live. We're going to start doing some live streams, so you'll be able to talk to me like live. And so we want to make sure that you all are getting on, and I think that'll be a treat because I love talking to folks. Also, you see me with these shirts. I've had folks who ask me about the shirts. We got shirts coming. Stay tuned. Where you can get it, where you can order the shirts, the Shades of Unity shirts, or the A2B shirts. And so just be in tune and be looking out for that. Also, I believe you can listen to us on all your radio or podcast platforms on your phone. So do that while you're working out and while you're running your race in life. Put your little head bobs in and listen to the jewels of life. Now, I don't claim to be the smartest person in the world, but I done lived life, and we done seen some things, and been through some experiences, and so we pay attention to it, and we strive to study everything. And so today, what we want to do, we want to dive into a topic called integration, pertaining unto race and culture. We want to talk about integration. And I want to really see how do the people feel about this subject matter. And really the question is, did it work? Or is it a failure? Is integration working? Or is it a failure? You want me to give my answer? I'll give you my answer. I think, as in how it weighs and how it's weighing in society, I think it's been a total air ball. Wah, 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 wah. That's right. Antoni Bo, you're a separatist. No, I'm not. Antoni Bo, you're a supremacist? Nope. I love everybody. Really, I do. I love everybody. I treat everybody how I would want to be treated. And even when I don't feel as well, I try to still strive to treat people, pretty well. So the question would be, Is the concept righteous? Is the concept of integration righteous? Yes, absolutely, 100%. It is righteous, 100%. 100%. But just because we have the concept, just because we have the ideal, now we have to turn around and we have to put application behind it. And for application's sake, I believe we have airballed. And I feel like every time we shoot, the ball is getting further and further away from the basket. So the question is, can it be fixed? Yes, it can be fixed. But we have to humble ourselves and truly learn or want to learn and apply our abilities, our talents, and our wills to connect to want to fix it. Integration is achieved by proximity. Centuries of defining proximity wrong is why we aren't neighbors. That last part, why we aren't neighbors, that's the air ball. Because that should be the results of all of our labor. We should be neighbors, but we're not neighbors. And we're not neighbors because we don't have proximity. And we don't have proximity because we've been going about integration totally wrong. I hear folks, moreover, on podcasts, I'll be listening to different podcasts, and I hear folks talk about, for instance, talk about black communities and talk about, what's wrong with them right now. What's wrong? What's going on with the black? What's going on? What's wrong? And it talks about, it wasn't like this when we were in segregation. It wasn't like this. We had our own, city halls and, they had their own, you all were doing so well and you had businesses. Yes, all that. You're correct. But notice what's always said. This achievement and continual achievement was being perpetuated while it was segregation. But as soon as integration came the ideal, physically, key word, underline that word, physically. When integration became the ideal physically, hey, you can go to the same bathroom. Oh, you can drink out of the same water fountain. Oh, you can go eat at the same restaurant. Oh, you can go this and you can sit next to them on the physically. But remember, physically don't mean spiritually. It's not the same. Matter of fact, raise your hand if you believe your body can even live without breath in it. Without spirit. So that would be a big fat no. And seeing that that's a big fat no, then in that, what that would tell me is that if the spirit or breath has to be in my body for my body to stand upright or to have movement or animation or to, for it to live, to do what it's designed to do, then that would tell me that my body or my physicality would be secondary. And my breath or spirit would be primary. But yet we're setting the rules of integration up as if primary is the physicality. Let me help you out. The physicality is just the fruit. 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 The physicality is just the the fruit, you eat the fruit at the end of the process. That's what the physicality would be. But you're missing something. The spiritual part is the root. And so the root, meaning that's where we're starting, meaning that's where we're intentional. We have a plan. We have a strategy. Very well thought out. We're going to plant this, and then the physical is going to latch on to this spirit that we're establishing at the root. And you're just going to see the physical act out what we really believe in striving to achieve at the root spiritually. But that's where we blew it. Because why? Well, you had, admins in the black community. You had admins in the white community. You had businesses in the black community, businesses in the white community. Do you know when people have businesses, people want to make money? You know that, right? Oh, yeah. People want to make money. They want to make money. And then they want to make in a capitalistic society, you want to make as much money as you can. And so then you have competitors, right? So I'll give you an example. Imagine a beverage called White Light. That's a beverage. Okay? And then imagine at the same time during segregation, you had a beverage called Black Light. Both of them were selling their beverage, off the shelves during segregation. Then here comes integration. Both of them is used to selling out, just selling off the shelves. Next thing you know, here comes integration. We say physically we're joined together, but really the two don't join together. But they both have a capitalistic mentality and approach. One sees one over here, okay, that's potentially more customers that could come and buy up Black Lightning. Oh, over here, that's potentially more customers that can purchase White Light. When you come out of a real staunch, deeply rooted previous conditioning of superiority, possessiveness, believe that the first is yours, in the spirit of integration, physically, I can shake your hand, but that don't mean I'm sharing a piece of the pie of this capitalism with you. Not only that, I'm not going to share it with you, but I'm going to find out a way to use my deep-rooted superiority now to gain your customers. Set laws and set ways in place to where you have to come through me. Who? That which was superior. So now the capitalism that you had, that you was able to make money off on in a concentrated community, now that community starts to open up, and now the ways is put in place because we're just making this thing as a physical thing, and we're not looking at it from all sides as an equality thing, because capitalism don't care nothing about that. Capitalism want to make as much as it can. And so now you have a whole bunch of increase on one side, that drink, White Light, bunch of increase. And then when a black light start to decrease. Why? Because a lot of the customers now are just happy to be integrated. Wow, do you know, this guy is the first black player to ever play in the major leagues? You know that this is the first black senator to, this is the first black governor. This is the first. Next thing you know, the capitalism thing on this thing gets so good, remember we're talking about skin deep? You can start propping up physicals, but still keep a spiritual dynamic there that has always been superior. But throw the people off and make them think they're gaining in so-called human capital because you put a physical in front of them. When we say a ventriloquist, the person is there, but got a hand in them and is speaking, a different ideology, that was understood over here, but now it's speaking one, not a universal one, but one to gain more capital. Like we said, moreover, that's even what's happening with the race and culture conversation right now. It is starting to become capitalism for that which is privileged. I don't care where you turn. It is either being used as a detriment. I done had folks tell me and call me racist moreover, just because I'm trying to fix the issue. They just don't even want you to talk about it. Then you got other folks who will sit there, they want to talk about it, but they want to lead the way. Remember we talked about, they want to buy low while they can possess it, and whenever they want to sell high, because they want to, why it's called buy low, sell high? You see that gap in between low, high? Guess all that in between there? That's called capitalism. In the hood, we call it, man, they came up. That's a come up. Next thing you know, you're feeling very influential because now you're walking around here with a human capital that you've never felt before. You came in and integrated, and now you're able to hear some instructions, some life wisdom, some experiences, and you are able to hear it, and now you take it for yourself. Now, there's no problem with that if, again, we all are gaining our rooms in the house. And we're trying to make a house a home for everybody. But when it's used, then to turn around and to gain something, but now at the same time, you're not losing something, meaning you're sacrificing something, it becomes a problem. So what do I mean? I'll tell you what I mean, because I said integration is achieved by proximity. But centuries of it being defined, proximity being defined wrong, is why we aren't there. That's why you don't see no results. Number one, this is where we got to start, family. Do you know integration starts when there's nobody else around? You got something in you called a will. And then you have something called action. So you decide your direction or your choice, and then you put action which will conclude that choice. You put action behind it, right? So like you hungry, you think to yourself, man, I'm hungry. You're hungry. You get reminded you're hungry. All right, I got to take some action. I got to get up. I got to get me something to eat. You see how integration worked? You're hungry. Reminded you. Now I got to get up and I got to fulfill or conclude that. Your will and your doing is the first integration that you'll deal with. Matter of fact, it's so important. That's why when we're at in our parents' home, our parents instructs us, and they love us, and that's why they chastise us. Because your choice is very important. Standard has to be set. Imagine this. Let me just say this rant real quick. For everybody who feel like they have a choice, you do have a choice. But your choice has to be tempered. Because if not, you just going to have 7 billion people here on the earth that at the end of the day, that have 7 billion different choices, and they're going to never integrate, and they're going to never have proximity, and they're going to never be neighbors. When you highlight the choice is number one. Your choice has to have some type of temperance on it. The problem with us in America and why integration is not working is because people are coming to the table and they're speaking about these choices without no temperance. It's like when I say to you, oh, I have my opinion too. I have my opinion too. Well, your opinion only goes so far. Your opinion means something as long as you're trying to temper your opinion to get us all to the same common goal or necessity. Because we all get here the same way. Listen to me good. We all get here the same way. And we all gonna leave here the same way. So everything in between has to be tempered between those two potentials or those two parameters. Again, since we all got here the same way, we all have needs and necessities that matches across the board. And so then if I make a choice, my choice has to be tempered by that across the board, because I can't not temper it with that across the board, because then what ends up at the back end of it in my doing, it can't be destroying people. Why would I want to destroy somebody, man? If I see somebody, I should be seeing myself in them. As you see a breathing human being, you don't see yourself. But I can only bring me into it. I can only bring my experience into it. What I don't want to do is try to come around and with my choice possess you. And overlord over you like you're my possession. Now, I can give you some instruction to help maybe correct some things if you're going a certain way. But I don't ever want to look at you like I'm overlording you. I looking at some things the other day where some folks were sitting up there talking about, oh, you better thank us because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. What does that mean? We're getting way too invested in flesh. Because remember, physicality is secondary. And again, that's where we went wrong. Oh, we can sit next to each other in a movie theater. That's secondary. Us sitting next to each other really have to be represent if I'm invested in my own integration, starting with myself. What was that? My will and my doing. Learning how to put those two things, because if not, you ever have somebody They say a word. They, all right, I'm going to call you. And you know good and well, they ain't going to call you. Yeah. That's you. I said, do you know somebody? It's you. You do know them. It's you. Or maybe it's somebody else, but maybe it's you. Yeah, man, I'm gonna call you, man. I'll call you at 3 on Friday. I'll call you 3, man, no later than 3:01. I'll call you on Friday. You don't hear from them for 3 months. You know, they got a lot of will going on, right? But they're doing behind it, it's just not there. That's why we say it starts with us. And here's the thing. If you're so invested in integrating this thing right and you want it to be achieved, that has to be the proximity piece. The proximity piece has to be you studying yourself. And how your will and your doing is chemistry and brought into integration. And then you take that, and then maybe how you deal with your parents, then you practice that integration, maybe your siblings, and then you practice that. Then you go out into the outer world. But you have much practice on the integration and the proximity. And remember, the proximity has to start within you. Now, seeing that the majority of us, that's not how we have defined the proximity, because remember, centuries of us defining proximity wrong is why we aren't neighbors. Meaning we didn't start in studying ourselves. That's how we defined it wrong. Just like you looking at me right now. Can you see me right now? You see physically, if integration starts with physical, physically, your eyes are looking outward. Physically. But if we're going to do integration correct with proximity, in the result in that of us being neighbors, your eyes going to have to turn around and start looking inward, and that's the spiritual part. You got to deal with yourself first. Man, natural, physical, it looks outward. So of course you know how to talk about somebody else and what they're not doing. That's all I see. That's why I said air ball. Everybody talking about what everybody else doing. But cannot take no inventory of how they're missing the mark on integration within themselves. Don't even know what is the two pieces they need to integrate within themselves. You don't know, you don't have no proximity. If you don't have no proximity, you can't be a neighbor. And so you look at somebody else and you see or you perceive what they're doing is wrong. And now you have it's just like me. Hey, guess what? All right, remember I told you about the 301, calling somebody at 301? I've been that guy. They don't end up calling at 301. And said that I'll call you at 301. I've been that guy. Now, if I'm going to have proximity with someone and we're striving to integrate ourselves with each other, then I'm going to have to admit that I'm that guy. I got to admit it. That's part of my flaw. I got to admit it. What does that gain me? That gains me proximity. Hopefully it starts to open up dialogue where they can start to admit some things that they have in them that they got to work on. Then you see how proximity starts to move and connect to each other. And next thing you know what you're doing? Next thing you know, y'all did go and walk in the room trying to put on your best gear and trying to put on your best haircut and trying to think you all fresh and you up there putting on a performative front. But after y'all talk, you talk about your failures. Next thing you know, y'all relaxed. And y'all are being neighbors. America, too much fronting. Way too much fronting. Can't front with me. I know we came from the same place. And I know we're going to leave here the same way. Absolutely. So you can't front. I know when I wake up and I yawn, I roll over and yawn, I know that it smells like a garbage can. Guess that's who I know that about too. You. Stop fronting. See that? Look at all this proximity we working on here. We have to grow. See, when you grow, then you improve. But you got to grow. Our problem is we have airballed because we act like we're at the fruit of the thing or the conclusion of the thing when we present ourselves, but yet we're still growing. So I can't present myself, act like I done made it. I ain't made nothing. Matter of fact, check this out. I can go right now and maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll go on like this, like weight loss challenge and get real fit for y'all and get real fit, right? Get back to, back in the day and get real rocked out and real fit, right? But guess what after I do that? I'm still going to have to do work. Why? Because I got to get sustained. If I don't do no work, I don't stay fit. So it has to be sustained. America, we got to do work. We have to do work. You ain't no fruit. You ain't ripe yet. We got to do work. We got to get there. Especially we up under a capitalistic society. Oh, man. I've said this before, and it's a shame that I have said it, but I'm not ashamed to say it to you. I have been trained by commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial to go to majority society within America and go give my dollar to go spend my money, to pay for something. I had to relearn like how to find black-owned businesses or whomever else, and then to be intentional to go somewhere. I've been trained. And if you done watch TV, you done been trained too. Integration has been an air ball. Why? No proximity. Why? Because we don't know how to integrate the two sides of ourselves. I'll leave you with this. Go into your children's crayon markers box. Get you a marker. And I want you to start here and mark it all the way down the center of your body. And once you mark your body in half, guarantee you're going to see two twins on each side. Two twins on each side. And in that, when you was a baby, you was uncoordinated. But look, as you grew, you have to integrate those two sides. You have to put your left foot and coordinate it with your right foot coordinated with your left foot, left hand coordinated with your right hand coordinated with your left hand, and you have to integrate in that coordination between the two sides. But that's just physical. We have to do that spiritually also. To do that spiritually also, my family, you got to look within. and see how do you move with your willingness and your doing. Study that, and then hopefully we come to the table with the one that you're collaborating with, and they have study. And then next thing you know, you're sitting down and you all are able to speak like neighbors because the proximity is there. Experiences is pretty much the same. Maybe packaged different, but it's same by spirit. You can understand. All right, family. There it is. Good to be back. Good to have y'all back. Hopefully that you all been doing well. We can continue on this grind and continue to strive in the ways of life and to learn the simple things that we can build up to the higher things. We got a lot of growth to go. A lot of root work has to be done. Don't want to get ripe so fast. Take your time. We'll get to the fruit. Just take your time. Let's talk about this integration thing. Can you read a book without ink and paper? Yeah. How? Integrate. Peace be. Thank you for listening, family. Hey! Peace be.